Hi everyone, and welcome back to your weekly edition of the Top 10. These are the hottest selling cards in Magic, November 11th to the 17th of 2023. And in today's edition of the Top 10, we are going to see cards from Modern Horizons, as well as Lord of the Rings, March of the Machines, and of course, the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. So let's get this party started. These are your Top 10 hottest selling cards. This week's number 10 position is from Modern Horizons, the first Sliver. Now, when this card first came out, a lot of players saw the amazing ability of Cascade and sought this card out. It had spikes back when it was first released and then steadily declined, but with the release of Commander Masters, this card saw a massive spike in price that is now slowly declining down. It still had 1,283 sales this week, which is a whopping total of $40,760. That doesn't mean that this card will not see play in the future, as it still sees play inside the Commander deck's Cascade, Pod, Lands, Slivers of course. Remember this card's popularity because at this price point, it's bound to attract a lot more players into buying the card for future deck construction. The number 9 position this week comes from Lord of the Rings and its Orcish Bowmasters jumping back into the top 10. With 1,345 sales this week, that's enough to grab the number 9 position with a total sales volume of $56,476. Now, the Orcish Bowmaster sees play in Modern as well as Commander, and new Commander decks like Talion the Kindly Lord, as well as Rohan, Scion of War. Top Commander decks include Ob Nixilis the Captive Kingpin, Saruman the White Hand, as well as Sauron the Dark Lord. This card is being watched for its popularity to see how much of the meta it controls, but don't be surprised if it doesn't get a ban anytime soon due to its popularity. Our number 8 position this week comes to us from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan, and that card is Hulking Raptor. Now, this is a 2 green, 2 generic, and of course it's just been released yesterday at its official release date, but it still had 1,492 sales, or $2,898 in sales volume. This card is already starting to be utilized in Commander decks. So you'll find this thing in Grishath the Sun's Avatar, as well as Pelini the Nest Tender. Don't be surprised to explore this card and see what it can do for decks that involve dinos, because this guy has a lot of abilities that players would like to utilize. The mana ability is something players would love to be able to tap into in a lot of dino commander decks, so don't ignore this card, as its price might rebound in the next couple of weeks as players get used to using it and how its abilities will work inside their deck. The number 7 position this week should not really come as a surprise, as it was on the list last week and was climbing. Now, Italia the Primal Sickness, Primal Conqueror, is a strong commander in its own right. It may be from March of the Machines, but this card continues to see decent sales each and every week. Now, 1,503 sales this week allowed it to reach the top 10 with a total sales volume of $22,394. This also finds itself in non-commander positions, just being a utilized card in Standard. I've seen players use this in Commander. I've even seen some friends try to make this thing work in Vintage Legacy decks. So don't ignore a card like this when it's at a price point players can afford to pick it up at, less than $20 a card. And really, I think we're going to see this card seeing a lot more play in the next few weeks, so just pay attention to it. It may be a card you're interested in. Our number 6 card this week also comes to us from Lord of the Rings, and that is Nar Reforged. Now, this card has 1,649 sales, total sales volume of $5,260, but this card does see a lot of play in top commander decks: Aragon the Hornburg Hero, Omnothorus the Ghostfire Initiate, Aragon the Unifier, Shillelagh the Halar, as well as the 2 Heavens as One, and Marcheska the Black Rose. And with a price tag of only $3.19 US, this is a very affordable piece of legendary equipment that players can utilize inside a multitude of other commander decks. We all know that Lord of the Rings is evergreen, and it looks like players are taking advantage of the dropping price of this card to pick it up for a whole slew of different commander builds they'd like to experiment with. Keep an eye on this card. I think you may see some resurgence of its price right around Christmas time. Cavern of Souls from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan comes into the number 5 position this week. Now this card still had amazing sales of 1,912 copies sold, total sales volume of $57,360, but the pressure from this reprint has caused this price to tumble down to a very affordable level that is less likely to rebound than a lot of players realize at this point. If you want to get this card, it is your chance. I don't see this card jumping up in price for the next several months. It does see tons of commander play, of course, and everything from Sliver Overlord, Sliver Queen, Godo, Dragon, Winota, the First Sliver, Edgar Markov, as well as Avacyn, Angel of Hope being just a few of the commanders that find this card inside its deck construction. With the release of the Lost Caverns of Ixalan, the downward pressure on the card will cause the price to go below sub 30. It's had a little bit of a resurgence now, but this is the official release date weekend, and as more boxes are opened and more collector boxes start pouring copies of Cavern of Souls onto the market, players are going to save a lot of money by just waiting a few more weeks for this card. So be patient, save that money, and get your own copy of Cavern of Souls. Our next card coming in at number 4 is Preacher of Schism, and that is from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan with 2,062 sales this week, or a total sales volume of $2,062. What I find so interesting about vampires lately is the sheer amount and flexibility these offer inside commander decks. This card is already being found in Calvino, the First of the Blessed, Carmen the Cruel Sky Marcher, Edgar Markov, Eliandra the Dusk Rose, and of course Two Heavens as One. This card has popularity due to its diverse abilities, everything from being a vampire cleric to its death touch to creating creatures, as well as drawing cards and losing life. This card has a lot of value to offer players, and it will continue to see strong sales. Don't be fooled by the fact it's only $1 right now. As cards become more established, they can rebound in the most unlikely ways, and this card may see a big jump up in value in the next few weeks. Coming into our number 3 position this week is Galta, the Stampede Tyrant, and that of course is from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Now this card had 2,974 sales, or a total sales volume of $66,052. Now this card is being played as a commander right off the hop, and that's because of the fact it can put any number of dinosaur cards onto the battlefield. There are lots of ways to utilize Galta, and a lot of players are finding a lot of high synergy cards that can be mixed in to make this card even more deadly. When you start adding in Galta the Primal Hunger, Goreclaw, Garruk's Uprising, Apex Allosaur, you have a lot of obvious options, as well as Concordiant Crossroads, Veteran Sun's Avatar. These green commander decks are brutal to play against. I played one just last weekend, and let's just say the Dino Riders came out and they thoroughly thrashed the Moxman's Angel deck, but it's so much fun to play, I'm not surprised. And of course, guys, a reminder before we jump down to the number 2 card this week, that if you're shopping for any of these amazing cards on TCG Player, don't forget to use the TCG affiliate link found in the description of this video. This link is active and allows the channel to get a 3.5% kickback on any cards you buy. Just click my link, it takes you to TCG Player, and any of the sales you buy that day are recorded to the Moxman's account. And of course, we get that kickback, which helps us get prizes for the channel. Thanks again to everyone who takes the time to do so. This week's number 2 card should not come as a surprise to most players, as it was on the list last week as well, and that is the Roaming Throne. This card has come in with 3,190 sales, or a total sales volume of $36,525. Its price is starting to bell curve upward as players are finding a lot of synergy cards that can work with this card, including Tamir Ascendancy, Morpheon the Boundless, Zakama the Primal Calamity, and Rhythm of the Boars. Guys, these cards are something players love to try out and make work inside decks, and of course the Roaming Throne is not an expensive card yet, but we're not sure how far that value will take it as players continue to explore in the next several weeks with this card to really see how broken it is and how much it can be utilized. Remember, some cards rise to the top and look really good, but others really don't play that well after the players get them into a deck and they get abandoned. So take this with caution and enjoy the card. Our number one card this week is Growing Rights from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. And yes, the Growing Rights has been reprinted, and it's seen a tumbling of price from above $10 all the way down to $5.71. But this card still had massive sales of 3,210, or a total sales volume of $18,329. Now, when you take a look at this card and recognize it gets used in top commander decks like Reki the Valued History of Kamigawa, Izuri the Renegade Leader, Riz the Redeemed, Koshian Protector, Freyalise, as well as many others, this card is going to see a lot of play and is a valued reprint that players were looking forward to getting their hands on at a bargain basement price. Now, the chances of this card rebounding, though, are very low. Do not expect this card to climb back up, and if you're trying to speculate on this card, this is not where I would hang my hat. I would leave this card to where it's going to go, which is going to be a bulk rare in the next few years, but enjoy the card. It's a lot of fun to play. Well, there you have it. That was your top 10. Thanks again to everyone for hanging out with the Moxman today. I hope you enjoyed the content as much as I enjoyed delivering it to you. I look forward to the reserve list top 10 tomorrow, as well as my live stream, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time every Sunday. I hope you guys can make it. I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful day and enjoy a round of Magic. It's a great game. A shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons we have supporting this channel each and every day. To all my amazing YouTube membership members, to my patrons, thanks again for being here. I'll see you all tomorrow for another video. Have a great day.